Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Cockings, and we are nearing the end of the journey. That is the first chapter of the longer adventure that is Star Trek Picard. But we here, on our journey of discussion and theorization, will continue.
Well, we're doing episode 7, and it is called Nepenthe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's odd because I put in, or I didn't put in, but I sat down to watch an episode of Picard, and a Star Trek episode broke out. At least that's what it feels like. And if this one was just a filler episode to get, Jonathan Frakes in there, I think they did an interesting job. It was fun to see the all of them back together again. It was a nice kind of nostalgic thing. A lot of people are saying if it wasn't for the nostalgia, this would have been a really bad episode. But I don't know how they would have done this episode without that. I personally thought it was great. I really had all the feels during this one. It definitely was one that was memorable and one that I would love to rewatch again because just seeing them back together was fantastic.
So I hated this one.
Oh, good God.
Thematically. No, I'm joking. No, I think this is the best one I've made so far. I think this is the highest note for a lot of different reasons. But what amazed me about this one is that Frakes, Riker, Curtis, Troy were not in season 1. So I assumed, based on the preview, that they would be cameos. They'd be in like first 6 minutes or a flashback. The entire episode is them. And the entire episode fits in like a glove. Like, he obviously had to go here to be safe. And that implies a drastic re-edit of the season, redesign of the season. Because this episode feels so natural. And they're the heroes of this story. What the hell went wrong to have to completely... Because you can't just cut out one episode, completely replace it with another episode. Noah's is brilliant. And it was so focused. Episodes aren't focused, it was a focused episode. So no, I thought it hit so many great notes, and like I said, I'm confused how it could even come into existence given the background we know.
That's why I don't agree with the people that say that they hated this episode. If it wasn't for the nostalgia, it would have been really poorly written. I'm like, well, if they had the same storyline idea, but with him going to visit someone else, I don't think that would have worked out quite so well.
Whereas I think it might be more a case of reshoots. They decided the direction wasn't quite going where they wanted. And they realized they had to, because Michael Chabon wasn't even showrunner until a certain point. It was Kurtzman, and they sort of swapped jobs, so people can change how they want to deal with it. Patrick playing Picard, he is brought up a level by working with these other 2 actors, and he brings back the Picard, which we, even in his unsureness, you get the vibe of the Picard unsureness, and it kind of amazes me that the acting of, I think, Marina and Frakes, it shows how weak like Narek is and Sister are when you just like they're very. I mean, obviously Frakes and Marina have a decade of experience in the role, but the ease of character and strength and good, like, just they're much better actors, and it's embarrassing when you look at older episodes that like these people are just barely holding it together. And this episode, it's so beautifully acted by everyone. It's like, oh wow, even the daughter, great casting. It's like, wow.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I did like pretty much everything that they did with it. All the explanations of, what happened to Thad and what happened to Riker, that he's still on the active reserve list or whatever. And if something really important happens, he could come back. And I think that's foreshadowing. If anything, he's gonna show up the last episode with a ship, maybe a few ships, and save the day, and Picard will be like, "Oh, I thought you said you were retired." Well, only unless something important happens, I can see something like that happening. I hope, anyway.
That would imply an even drasticer re-edit. I mean, if he's, that would be even more. That is season 2 tease. That they realise, no, we need to make it more canny. We need to make it more universe building. We can't, the line where Picard says, "I don't want to use my old friends because they'll go to life and limb for me." It's like, no, but those are who you would ask. So let's actually make that make sense. The way they end the scene, the way they end the episode, it doesn't feel like we're saying goodbye. It really doesn't. It's like, welcome back to the world. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, well, exactly. 1,000%.
The 2 small things I love now, having, after the fact, looked at a few reviews. One, I love that the daughter's name is actually the sister of Troy that passed away, that Roxana lost. That's a reference I would never have got. But as a writing thing, that's beautiful. And it's never mentioned, but it doesn't need to be beautiful. And the line I liked the most of the entire episode is a Riker yells, "Shields up."
Yes, yes, that was actually really cool. I was impressed with that.
It's like the exact same cadence. And it's like, yes, he's action. He's not this old guy on a farm. He's the house is a bloody fortress. And it's like, beautiful. I love it. He says shields up every other week. I love it. Perfect.
And he says, cancel red alert. He says, copy that. He says a bunch of things that are very Riker-ish, which I love. And did you get the reference for Thad? Thad's name? Thaddeus Riker? From the episode with the Q. It was Riker's ancestor back in the Civil War on the crutches. I was thinking Thaddeus, where'd that come from? So I looked up Thaddeus Riker, and sure enough, that's what it was from.
This episode was written with a different mentality to everything else. You can feel the change in direction, the change in respect level, a change in embracing the past. But the thing is, it's not embracing the past because they push them all forward. They're utilising the characters in an incredibly effective, efficient way. And this is the story about where this is the episode where Picard really gets his mojo back. And I love, when Troy says, be Jean-Luc Picard, which is telling the audience, he weren't no Picard until this point, guys. Soz about that. Now he's going to be Picard. It might have taken him a journey to get there. But the fact that she calls him out for you're not being like the you that you were. Yes. We've been saying that.
And I got to say, you know me, I'm not a huge fan of Marina Sirtis or Troy, necessarily. I was super impressed with the way they did her. I thought it was perfectly well done. I wasn't rolling my eyes or being cringy at all. Thank you to them for that.
Would you say she was better in this than in Nemesis?
Yes.
Because I would, actually.
Yeah, she's way more Counselor Troy in this. Commander Troy, as she gets introduced, so...
Yeah. No, I agree. Because obviously we've met her. I've met her a couple of times, and her accent has got, English accent has got more English, she hasn't had to be Troy for a long time, so the English accent is distinctly different, but boy, she had the Troy accent back, again, better than Nemesis, because you saw it slip over the course of 12 years, but I think she was like, I'm going to really try, and it was like, oh wow, that is actually recapturing the voice. I was actually really impressed, and yeah, she was great. She was used appropriately, she was used consistently, the motheringness was not too much, just enough, emotional, but it's been a long time, and the fact that Riker Zadi just calls her that, little touches. Again, it was written with a totally different vibe, and I didn't even mind the Photoshop of Picard with the baby in uniform. It's alright, this is fine, that's good.
We should probably talk about the other half of the episode. Again, felt Star Trek actually it felt more Star Wars, especially when the Serena warps out and then the other ship warps right behind it. It reminded me of Boba Fett following the Falcon. We got to get another ship, a fighter.
Mm-hmm. Scout ship.
Yeah, they called it the snake ship or whatever they called it. Loaded to the teeth kind of thing. Again, the sister was used appropriately and I think was actually quite good in this episode. Narek, of course, didn't do anything. He just followed them. But I think she was well played. The Elnor and Hugh stuff was great. I'm like, thank God, Hugh's going to survive. Not so much. That annoyed me a little bit because that was unnecessary, especially right after you said we're going to reclaim this Borg cube. I'm going to fight for the XPs. I thought, thank God, we're going to see this Borg cube power up and start taking out the Romulans and then leave. That'd be awesome.
Well, I have two minds about the Hugh thing. I think it was a waste of everyone's legacy because it was meaningless. Really, I get this. It's gonna be what drives Seven in later on. I get that. It's a setup. But I will say that death, I do think was a good use of subversion of expectations, which I'm not normally a fan of from Last Jedi, but they explicitly say we're going to do this restart at Borg and we're going to take over, and then he just gets killed. You don't expect it, and it's effective because of that, as long as it's going to be a build-up and pay off to Seven.
No, I thought Elnor was actually used appropriately, better than I anticipated. I didn't know how they were going to play it after the last episode, but I thought it was kind of well done.
It was fun to watch, but out of his depth.
And then the whole, the Salazat Vash deal with the Kawat Malat. She puts her disruptor away. He puts his sword away. They actually have a fight. So, yeah, he throws the blade at her, and she beams out last second when she's got a disruptor pulled on him. How did that happen?
I assume it's a set. If we extrapolate that the security guards the Death Squad, one beam from Bannister that you can beam if it detects your life's in danger, automated. Although it seemed a bit weird that she would shout out the name of the Jat Vash when it's an ultra mega secret. It's like, dude, I know you're in an empty room, but there are cameras everywhere, and people don't know about the Jat Vash, and you say it like it's nothing with a guy who shouldn't know who you are necessarily, because it's one thing to say the Quat Malash hates the Tal Shiar, big organization, but why would nuns be the sworn enemies of the specific subset to kill androids? Are you telling me that the nuns are pro-android and were there 3,000 years ago, or whatever, part of the Vulcans? Like, that was a really weird, like, they forgot their own ideas.
That being said, the way the scene ended was even, or the part with Elnor ended was even worse. He ducked under a console, and you see the thing hanging there, like the dice on the Falcon. And people are saying, "Oh, that's Hugh's office. That's Hugh's desk. Hugh told him to go there." That was never explained. It's not what I got out of that. He should have had the Fennec Ranger alert thing that Seven gave Picard. But no, conveniently, there's one hanging there. Why? How? What?
I mean, there's an easier option, though. As Hugh's dying, he gives him his token. Take this! I mean,
to activate the Queen's chamber, you're going to need an XB. I thought he said a name of an XB that he was supposed to go find, but I could have been wrong.
No, I agree. That moment was honestly laughable. I laughed out loud because it plays, if you don't think about it, as if, yeah, it's just like on a random console in a 3 kilometer by 3 kilometer ball cube with thousands of rooms and tens of thousands of people and a full Romulan research division and secret things going on and billions of square meters. The place he hides randomly, there's his escape route thing hanging. But don't think about it. It doesn't work at all. They obviously forgot, and they were
Why would Hugh have one though?
No. That's fine because Seven. I mean, that's his friend. He would have one in his pocket just in case. I'm not that in concept. That's why if he gave it to him as dying breath, it's like, take this, and he's like, it's sad to have such well thought out bits and then incredibly poorly thought out bits.
I think they expected us the nostalgia to overpower those bad bits, but I don't know. It kind of did for me in a way.
Well, it's such a small moment. It's just really dumb. Although I go back for 1 second. We talked about the sister. I agree she was better in this episode, but she's incredibly one-dimensional. As far as the actress, this would be such a bit part for me. Like, it's the most mustache-twirling non-character possible. She's a flat piece of paper. She's a good snide lady. She's empty.
I didn't mind her in this one. I prefer in this one to the other ones where she's like being all weird with her brother and saying cryptic shit. I preferred this one because at least something was going on. So I kind of like her character better in this one.
Well, because it's focused. This episode actually has a focus. It actually has a progressive moving forward. This episode knows what it wants to be. Other episodes didn't quite, especially episode 3, which was obviously stretched. And then you've obviously got the Jurati and such. Now, I will compliment the crew feel of those 3 is good. She's not a drug addicted, depressed alcoholic in this episode. She's just a nice officer lady person, and she was great. If she's not the stuff that they try and write her for, she's great. When she is, she's not great. Use her just like part of the... When it's a crew feel, it works. When it's not, it doesn't work. And she was nice, hey, let Mama Raffi help you out. It's like, it's cringy fun, but yeah. It feels like Star Trek. That actually is a Star Trek moment.
I actually liked her a lot better in this episode. I'm not a fan of her either the actress or her character, but this one worked well. And I'm thinking when she asked about the chocolate milk, I'm like, this would make an awesome mom. I don't know what that kid's problem was. I'd love to have a mom that was like this. One thing that really threw me off though was when Rios says to Jurati, I think somebody's tracking Raffi. Like, why would he immediately go to that? I mean, yeah, I get that she was off the ship at Free Cloud. They kind of put it together. It just felt a little bit like he was trying to trick Jurati almost.
Well, because then her look is like, yeah, it is me, and he doesn't even see it.
Well, he does. I think he clues in, kind of, but...
But then he resets to Raffi a minute later. Like, I thought as well, he was going to walk away and be like, Raffi, I think it's... The scene plays... they're forcing a delay in reveal rather than how it actually plays, which is they get it. If this future is bad and as unflinchingly murderous as she became, at what point, why would these two people she's known for 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, be enough to sway? I didn't like that she's now swapping out of that she was clearly feeling guilty when he's like, yes, but how could Raffi risk our lives? It's like, and she should say to herself, yeah, your lives don't matter. I was really kind of surprised that she's backtracking already, and it kind of, for me, weakens the character personally.
I think she's starting to feel something for Rios, and I think that's what they're trying to get at, even though I don't buy it. I think that's what they're forcing. And Rios is starting to trust her as well. I don't know. It did feel odd, but I love how she fessed up to it. She's like, "No, it's not Raffi," and he's like, "What? It's you?" And then Raffi freaks out that the guy's back. And I love how he added in there that maybe a Romulan Tal Shiar put a tracking device on Raffi without her knowledge. I'm glad they included that, because the way he was talking, it's like he didn't trust Raffi, who's somebody who's known for a long time. We might have a way to get around this. You might not like it, though. What? Shoot me out of an airlock? Well, I hope it doesn't have to come to that. And then,
What? Rios, what? And then the fact that she comas herself. I honestly thought she was actually going to commit suicide. And that would be like a powerful moment, because the character's arc is done, in essence. Because it'd be a double-edged sword there, that the character would commit suicide because she doesn't want to live with the guilt of Maddox. She doesn't want to betray her friends anymore, but also she doesn't want to live in this future based on the Destroyer. So it's 3 levels of committing suicide is the best thing to do, because she's like, oh, she didn't know. I thought that made complete logical sense. And so the coma, okay, fine. Exposition for next week.
Yeah, a lot of people, my first reaction last night, thought she was trying to kill herself. And I'm like, if she's going to kill herself, she could have picked something a lot more potent than what she did. She obviously picked that formula specifically to block out the transmitter device. The only other issue I really have with that whole thing is it was a 3D printer that they used as a replicator. And I think it's probably an in-joke now among like the art department. They're probably like, oh, well, replicator. And I did last night. I did a really fun thing on my first reaction live, where I did the production meeting behind that. Oh, so we need to have a replicator. And I went through the whole thing, like back and forth between a couple people at the boardroom table, and none of them had ever watched Star Trek, so they thought, well, they have replicators these days. They're called 3D printers. They make stuff out of nothing.
But there are replicators one room away in the mess hall.
Which are real replicators, exactly.
And I'm assuming, though, that industrial ones to build mechanical pieces are a little more 3D printers. They don't need the... But the problem is, that would be fine in theory, but then the people on top of Phoenicia made food with them. So I'd be fine with 2 replicas, one that's unlocked to let you do like tools, and one that is just food. Not sure why you need 2, one could be all.
I don't like a few things about it. I don't like the Elnor finding the Fennis Ranger thing like that. I don't like the 3D printer. I don't like the fact that Kestra found out what planet it was instantly. That almost seems suspicious. Like the guy that knows the planet is going to be important at some point.
Well, that might be the symptom of originally they were going to have to spend an episode locating where, and they were like, F that, we're going to reshoot it, so we put Riker in, have a character episode, and then just have that. Because it was a funny, like, oh, okay. It's very Star Wars of like, where is it? It's over there. Awesome. Like, there's no delay. But I mean, I like the idea, if she's that smart and that creative, and, it's like a Wesley sort of thing. It's like, yeah, you can, geniuses can do certain things quickly.
Other than that, I like pretty much everything. There are probably a few little things that we'll get to when we do our live review later that I didn't like, but
when you
overall,
start getting scene by scene and shot by shot, it does change. One thing I didn't like though was for some reason there's a bit where Narek is really quite stupid in this episode, and they had nothing for him to do, narratively speaking, because he's following the ship, but really effing close, considering sensor range is vast. In Discovery, we know that Starfleet sensors in Discovery era can scan all the way through Federalist to Klingon space and cloaked ships, and so therefore you can detect from, stupid Star Trek writers, whatever. That's Discovery. So why was he at invisible distance, and why was the other ship not at warp? Like, I don't like the warp very much, but it felt very padded, and he's just like, and following them right behind them. Oh, I've lost them. Oh, like he was really stupid. Like he's a Tal Shiar agent with a Romulan ship and a Jat Vash secret agent, and he's played like a moron. Like he should be cloaked in a stealth fighter, and if you want, and be really far behind, like a sector behind, and be talking to himself about. He's played really for stupids, in my opinion.
I agree, and that scene that with him following them, like they could look out the window and see him, but they're talking about sensor range. It was really stupidly done.
The whole warp maneuver is the best they could think of, because when you warp and then stop, the other ship knows you've warped and stopped. They would then de-warp, turn around, warp back. They found you. Like he could re-find you in half a second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds. Like to say he's 10 light years away and then it'll take him an hour to find us. It's like turn, warp, found you. Like he's also got a signal. So I didn't buy most of the chase. It was what do we do with this crew? We've got a character thing to do. Let's put a chase in that doesn't have any thought put in. But it's a small part, and the character stuff's decent in that part, so it kind of.
So that's about it, guys. I think we're done with our spoiler-free review or
full
review. If you guys want to put any comments down below, please do. But don't forget to check us out tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we'll be doing a scene-by-scene breakdown, the full episode, and really get into the meat of things. So if you're into that kind of thing, join us there, and you can help us out with super chats and things when you get there as well, which is great. Get your voice heard, your comment read, your question answered, and kind of be part of the conversation, which is great. There's also the option to join the channel, rank of captain or commander, captain, or admiral, and get some. If you join the lives a lot, it gives you emojis and stuff for the chat, which is really fun. So consider doing that. But there are other ways to help us out as well, including Patreon, which is our monthly subscription service. You can head over to Trekyards.com and click the donate button. It's also just our PayPal. It's in the link below. So lots of great ways to support the channel. But then, of course, there's the free standard ways, which is, I guess, the commander's job to tell you about today.
So, if you watch our stuff, keep watching. Watch more. Watch everything. Go back. If there's a ship you think you might be interested in watching about, search it. We've probably done it. And of course, once you like us and our pretty little faces, then subscribe, and that bell notification, that little button next to subscribe, super important because YouTube sucks a bit, and that's the only way to keep it going. And then commenting actually just help the algorithm. Liking videos, same deal. Even just disliking if you want to be like that. And sharing if you want people to enjoy our content that is beyond your computer, then please do. They're all free, they all help, and thanks so much.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Kungs.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.